G'day everyone, welcome to this edition of Durko's Notebook for the Turkish Grand Prix. Really got a lot to talk about for this episode, so pull up a pew, sit back, relax and enjoy the show.
You wouldn't fucking read about it.
The Istanbul Park Circuit, it's about 45 kilometres from the Turkish capital of Istanbul. And the Istanbul Park Circuit, it's one of the better circuits, I've got to say, on the whole calendar. I think it should be permanently on the calendar every year. At 5.3 kilometres long with 14 turns, it's one of Herman Tilke's better designs, I think, in the anti-clockwise direction, especially with turn 8 with its quadruple apex corner. It's just a fascinating corner. I just love turn 8. And a lot of people have asked, why has it not become 8, 9, 10, 11? It's simply because it is one continuous corner, but there is 4 apexes within it. Just the topics I want to cover off for tonight, obviously the big talking points from the race were, of course, the first incident was Gasly on the side of Alonso. I called it a racing incident at the time because Chico was coming down the inside of Gasly and then Alonso was there. I think Gasly was in the position he had nowhere to go. But the steward saw it a different way and obviously gave him the 5-second penalty. The next incident was, of course, Nando punted Mick Schumacher straight off. And I think that was a fair penalty, the 5 seconds he copped, because that was an absolute shunt and just spun Mick right off. And Mick was probably set for one of his best results ever if he'd managed to have stayed on track and not got spun by Nando, because he certainly showed Nikita Mazepin up by a huge amount in terms of the time difference at the end of the race. But of course, there was a good bit of sportsmanship there with Nando going up to apologise to Mick after the race and embraced him in a man hug and said, "Look, sorry mate, yeah, I was at fault, I shouldn't have done that." The third one was a big talking point, was, of course, people were asking why was no penalty handed out. And that was with between Hamilton and Chico about halfway through the race. And before that, the race wasn't all that exciting, but it certainly flared up after this incident. And I think it was a fair call because obviously Chico would have been screaming his helmet, "No senor, no pasa," towards Hamilton, because he was not going to let him get through or around that Red Bull. He made it very wide and very difficult for Hamilton to get past. And of course, the talking point was, why didn't he not get a penalty going around the bollard at the pit lane entry? Well, you could say the argument is that some people say Hamilton would have pushed him off, left no real estate for him, and I'm in that corner. Some people say that Chico probably outbraked himself and put himself in the position where he had to go around the bollard. But either way, there was no penalty handed out, and I think that was a fair call. But it was a great bit of racing, and it proves that Chico's really got to grips with that Red Bull, especially this race in loose circumstances in terms of lack of grip because the track was still wet. But Hamilton just couldn't get around him and just kept trying and trying. And it was just a great bit of racing to see because we don't often see good stoushes like that in F1 anymore, and it was just pleasing to see. The fourth thing I want to talk about, of course, is Lewis Hamilton towards the end of the race, and his tyres were clearly going off. Now, Bono's obviously got the privilege of getting direct data from Pirelli in terms of tyre wear, tyre temperature, the degradation. Lewis, of course, is a 7-times champion. He's got all the experience in the world to say, yep, I can drive a car with in a wet race with worn-out tyres, and, fair call to him. He's the one steering the thing around, and he knows when he's losing grip with the inters. But I think Lewis's argument to argue that he should have kept going and potentially blown the tyres, not finished the race, was too big a call. And I think that he should have listened to the team, and he did, obviously, because he did come in for the inters. He did lose a few spots. I mean, he was trying for a podium if he'd kept the original set of boots on. But the decision was made by the team. At the end of the day, I think Lewis really had to listen to the team with that call, and I think it was a fair call for them to call him in. I think just a couple of things I want to cover off. I think the Red Bull looks absolutely outstanding in the white colour, the white livery, and I certainly hope they keep it for the rest of the season. As they keep saying sayonara to Honda as an engine supplier, and they are coming back on technical advice or technical support next season with Red Bull, but just not branding the car as such. But I think the white car, the livery, just keep it till the end of the year at least, because it just looks unreal in that white. It's a real nice change for the Red Bull, I've got to say. So that's it for this edition of Durko's Notebook for the Turkish Grand Prix. Certainly was an interesting race, or interesting, I should say, race overall. Probably not the most exciting, other than that for the Hamilton Chico Stoush. I'm only going to give it 3.5 past Maldonado's on the score this week, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time for the US Grand Prix. And the COTA is just an unreal circuit. If you've never been, get the chance to go there, please go. It is just unreal once you get there. It's completely different to what you see on TV. Once you get there, you just say, wow, this is just so different. Yes, I'll be back for another edition of Durko's Notebook for the US Grand Prix. And until then, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.